So in this video, I'm kind of demonstrating how pulse width modulation works with an Arduino board and a RGB LED. And what's happening here is we're using one of the PWM pins on the Arduino board, which stands for pulse width modulation, to vary the duty cycle for the specific pin on the RGB LED. So what's kind of happening is the PWM pin is basically like a a variable pin that allows you to control the on time of a voltage. So you know how generally with pulses you have kind of like a square wave, and then the duty cycle is the term used to describe the on time of that wave, like when it reaches the max voltage. Now the thing is, if you have a very small duty cycle, that kind of varies how high your voltage can go, right? So I think usually that formula is described by the max. Your output voltage is your max voltage times your duty cycle. So if you're or divided something like that. So basically what's happening here is in our code, if we look here, if you look at the loop code, we're basically starting the green pin as off, and each time we're going to increase the off value. So it starts at 0, and for every loop it's going to increase, and it's going to delay by 1. So what's happening is the duty cycle is slowly increasing, and while that happens, the output voltage is increasing as well, which kind of gives it this brightening effect. And that is sort of like what pulse width modulation is, right? And keeping it on for a higher duty cycle is basically increasing the voltage of it at the same time. What's really happening here is because this is a diode, right? We want to control the intensity. We want to be able to do these kinds of things. We can't just use like a digital pin and kind of just have, it go on and off, on and off. I mean, that's basically what's happening here, but it's happening very, very, very fast to give the idea that the diode is on constantly. It's really in like if you really were to slow this down, it's basically flickering on and off, on and off, on and off, on and off. But it's happening so fast that we don't really see it happening. And the thing is, that allows us to do things like this, where we can use PWM to reduce the strength of it, which allows us to give it this dimming effect.